welcome. There we go. Is that our countdown? Okay, here we go. Hey, welcome, ladies. Thanks so much for joining us today. This is your first time. If this is your first time with us, this is the Women in Trucking Association, a nonprofit organization. We have a mission to champion the employment and advancement of women in trucking, fostering connections and recognizing their achievements. We were founded on behalf of the industry. We were founded on the belief that the industry is stronger when women are supported. My apologies. They are visible and advancing in every role. Over the years, that belief has carried us forward by a dedicated leadership team and sustained through the energy of our members, sponsors, and our partners. Today, we're proud to be a growing community of business professionals and professional drivers who share a commitment to that mission and to strengthening the future of trucking together. And with me, we have some very amazing women. I'm going to have them introduce yourselves. Let's start with Miss Kelly Lynn McLaughlin.
Yeah, my name is Kelly Lynn McLaughlin, and I am a hazmat driver. I'm over the road for Clean Harbors, and I am a member of the women's team as well.
Fantastic. Miss Gina, you want to introduce yourself real quick?
Hi, I'm Gina Jones from Arizona. I'm 48 state with Warner Enterprises, 14 years.
Fantastic. And Miss Ingrid Brown, go ahead and introduce yourself.
Thanks for having us and thanks for doing this, Jerry. Ingrid Brown. I also am on the Women in Trucking Image team. I drive for Blackjack Express LLC and also run the reefer division. And I'm also on the board of directors for Women in Trucking.
And Miss Ingrid is our driver of the year 2026, correct? Give her a
Yes,
round of
ma'am.
applause. Well done. Well done.
Thank you.
All right, so let's go ahead and jump right in. We're going to talk a little bit about the journey into trucking. So Ingrid, being the driver of the year, do you want to go ahead and start with your story? What led you to a career in trucking and what has kept you behind the wheel?
I started out and raised in a road construction company in North Carolina. My dad, my uncle, and learned to drive trucks and run equipment and just traveling and doing that. My grandfather also started driving a truck in 1937. So kind of a long history with that. I became an independent owner operator up until 23. So I started in 1979. So I'm working on my 47th year. And I came to work for Blackjack Express in 2023 after some medical issues and been driving and running reefer division here since.
Sounds like trucking is definitely embedded in your DNA.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Miss Gina, what has led you into a career in trucking and kept you behind the wheel?
So I have a great story. My husband asked me to join him on the road. My youngest son was left for the military in 2011. And my husband's like, I'm lonely. It would be great if you would join me on the road. We can make great money together and be together at the same time. And so at 50 years old, I left my career of 28 years in retail management and in the food business. And I was like, oh my gosh, can I do this? Can I sit for so many hours a day compared to me being on my feet 8 to 9 hours a day? And I'm like, you know what? I'm up for challenges. I had to make a few goals for myself before I sat in that driver's seat to make it more challenging for me, as well as my job was challenging and what I love to do as well, and being around so many people. And so it was a hard decision, but you know what? My husband wanted me with him, and why not, right? Why not try something different? And that's what I did. And 14 years later, I've never looked back. And my son is still in the military and he's overseas right now. So we both are going to get to the point where, okay, who's going to retire first,
Sure. No, I love that. And thank you for his service as well.
Thank you.
Miss Kelly Lynn, would you like to give us your journey into trucking and what's kept you behind the wheel?
Sure. I think my life has gone in 10-year segments, and most of the segments have been centered around trying to make a difference, right? And when my kids were in high school, they got into marching band, and I had never been in marching band and didn't know what it entailed, but I got asked to be director of logistics. And it was just a way for me to stay in touch with the kids. But I found out that we rented semi trucks, we had a big old trailer, and then we had some mid-sized trailers and some little trailers. And it was way more than I anticipated it would be. And I finally, the grouchy old volunteer dad truck driver, he from the get-go, he's like, don't put anybody in my cab. And I'm like, okay, nobody's gonna ride with you. But then after a while, I realized that I actually did want to ride in that tractor. And when I did, I mean, that was it. I was like, I don't want to be an old lady and not give this a go. So I did it and I liked it. And I had a little bit of a knack for it. I have to say, I really felt like I needed a lot more training and a lot more experience, which is a good thing. But I also found that there was room for improvement in the industry, and that just kind of led to my next decade plus of trying to make a difference.
I love that. I think what I find always interesting for women in trucking is everybody has a very interesting background, but we all kind of converge for the same mission. And I always love that about what our organization stands for. So, all right, let's go to Miss Gina. If you want to give us the meaning of recognition. So what I'm saying is being named Driver of the Year finalist, that's a huge recognition. What does that honor mean to you personally and or professionally?
It means a lot, to be honored and to be the face of a female in the trucking industry that is doing whatever we can do to make females feel more comfortable coming into the industry. Our hard work of what we do to not only just drive and be safe out on the road, but to share our stories to other women. And this is my second time as a finalist the last 2 years. So it's that much more of an honor that I can continue to be a face out there like Ingrid and Kelly Lynn. And I just love these women. I got to meet them, this year in person, my first time. So and being more involved in women in trucking as well, because I'm fairly just 3 years into the Women in Trucking as a member, but an honor to be on stage with these women. And that is what is important to me, learning their stories, because I was just amazed, Ingrid, almost 47 years. And when I came into the industry, I met so many more women that I didn't even realize that were in the trucking industry and the females out there. So to me, it just came to heart, and I wanted to be a face like they are out there and a role model and a mentor as well.
I love that. Yeah, it's definitely, it speaks to what we were just saying, right? Everybody comes from a different background, and even only being 3 years in the industry, though, in the organization, sounds like you've had quite an impact in the industry overall, though.
Well, 3 years with learning women in trucking, but longer, I've done it with Warner as a road team captain, America's road team captain with ATA. So just in the 14 years, but when I got my I'm at 1.6 million accident-free miles right now. But when I got my 1 million, everything just kind of took off. My companies recognized me, brought me further and further up, and making me get into the industry and talking more with women that are in our company as well, and making them feel comfortable, and is an honor, to be where I am right now.
I love that. Kelly Lynn, so as a finalist for you, what does that honor mean to you personally and professionally?
Well, it was really heartwarming that my company is the one that nominated me. and that
Yay.
to be seen and to be recognized for the work that you're doing, because it's so lonely sometimes. Like you're out there traipsing. I mean, like Gina, thank goodness you've got your husband, but sometimes it really is lonely. And you're like, does anybody know I'm alive? Does anybody know where I am? You know, they're tracking you, right?
Mhm.
But just to have your company, and it was other women that nominated me. So I was like, that is heartwarming. But to be on the stage with women that you've worked with, like Ingrid and I have worked together in person, but Gina and I have served on committees together, but never got to meet each other. And then to be there, it was super fun. I felt like, you know, like your sisterhood finally gets to come together and we're going to go drink wine and talk all the chat. And yeah, it was it was way more fun than I thought it was going to be.
That's awesome. That is definitely awesome.
Sorry, Ingrid.
She's like, hold on, let me compose myself.
Yeah.
Let me know if you're ready, Miss Ingrid, because as driver of the year, I want to hear what that means to you personally and professionally. That's a huge honor.
And I can't open my mouth much. I guess y'all know I have stitches and all this in my mouth thanks to Welcome to the World of Skin Cancer and Melanoma. When I got my nominations in this year, they came not from anywhere I would have expected them, honestly, because my nominations came from brokers and came from shippers and came from colleagues that I have met in other conferences, and then that have gotten involved and wanted to learn more about women in trucking. And then there were the ones that were, being an independent, and just like what Kelly Lynn was saying, for so many years, it's like a lonely world. You're your own little company. You're your own little thing. You're your own little deal. You get to track yourself. It makes such a difference. I've been with Women in Trucking as a founding member in 2007, and watching the years grow, watching the Women in Trucking Association grow, watching it grow into Women in Trucking Foundation, and being able to be a part of seeing all of this, and then being nominated to be a driver of the year of all of this that's grown and happened. And I've got to watch it and to see it all happen in front of me, and then be chosen to be driver of the year was like, I honestly I know when I stood there and the announcement was made, I didn't know what to do. And I usually am never speechless. Y'all know that. I am usually not one that has nothing to say. And all I could think in my heart was, I can't tell y'all thank you enough, because not just for what it means to me, and not for what it matters to my heart and how great it feels inside, but it means to me that we're doing something right here. We're doing something right to look out from that stage and look beside of me and see these ladies that are standing here that have worked their tails off just as much as I have, that have given just as much as I have, and the ladies that are sitting out in front of you, and to see those faces are the ones that are doing exactly why we're here and exactly why this award is set up. That's the joy, and that's exactly what makes me the proudest of anything of this, is because I got to be surrounded by everybody, and it wasn't about me, it's about us. We're all winners, ladies. It's not just one person, it's all of us.
Yeah, I love that so much. I know coming into the industry, because I came in later as well, but when I found Women in Trucking and I started to see people who represented what I wanted to be, that really helped me to drive harder and drive further. And so I think it's important that we are showing women that we do have a place, and that anybody can be anything. regardless of what we've been told in our past. So I love that we as a community represent that women absolutely have a place here, and you guys are definitely representation of that. I have several heroes, and it's definitely who I aspire to be amazing like you guys. So
I think you're amazing, Jerry.
thank you. I appreciate that. So let's shift gears for just a moment. Safety is a huge topic, and we hear that a lot, not just in news and stories and always, the post-accident stuff, but talking a little bit about the commitment to safety. It is a key quality that we recognize, that it's recognized toward this award. So let's start with you, Kelly Lynn. What habits or practices have helped you to maintain a strong safety record throughout your career behind the wheel?
Fear. Fear.
That's fair.
And if anybody says this isn't a scary job that we do, they clearly don't appreciate what we do.
Or have been in the truck.
Yeah. And I'm hazmat. So I spent last week in a hazardous waste landfill with a respirator and a hazmat suit for extended periods of time. And
a tornado.
Yes, I have pictures of a tornado. So, I mean, it is dangerous. And I still talk to my very first trainer. And safety has always been important to me. And I maintain those relationships with the people that know more than I do, and continue to talk safety with them. I have also made it a point, wherever I've worked, to develop relationships with the compliance people, because there are so many regulations that we have to follow, especially now that I'm in the hazmat space. I, honest to gosh, don't know them all. And even compliance officers will not agree on what placarding you're supposed to have, or, it's just so complicated. So I have maintained relationships with those people. I appreciate working for a company that ranks their drivers according to their safety scores. And I try and make sure I'm at 100%, because I don't ever want to have that conversation on why aren't you at 100%. But do not let that trick you into thinking that I'm perfect, because I'm not. And I still haven't had my perfect day. And maybe when I do have my perfect day, I will retire. Because I will have made it. But those are the things, I give a darn about being safe.
Yeah. And kudos to you. I know when I drove for Cheeseman Transports, that's when I first was introduced to the hazmat world, and it is tricky. It is very tricky. So kudos to you for being able to manage that on a daily basis, and having those connections and resources. Somebody told me most recently that relationships are resources. And so if you have those relationships with those people, and same, right, that's something that I took away from you very early on, was having those relationships that you can reach out to people. So write that down, whoever's listening. Relationships are resources. So Ingrid, let's move over to you, talking about the commitment to safety. Tell us a little bit about your habits or best practices that have maintained your strong safety record throughout your career.
I think my number one thing is that I've always remembered that I'm a new driver every day. I'm a new driver every time that I get in the seat. That's a new day. I have to remember, because if not, I become complacent. I'm like everybody else. You find complacency, whether it's because the day gets long and you get bored, you get tired, you get, you've got too much to think about that you need to take care of when you get stopped, whatever, is reminding myself that, I'm like Kelly Lynn. I have yet to have a perfect day in 47 years. There's not been one yet. I'm still looking.
Thanks for the encouragement.
Stop making me laugh.
So sorry.
When I have stitches pop out of here, you're gonna fully. Anyway, but in involving myself and doing exactly what these two ladies, and I stress these two ladies, because Gina and Kelly Lynn are with me of working not only with our companies, not only with the general motoring public, but with the government, with FMCSA, with CBSA, with all of these outreach, Our Roads, Our Safety, to further getting the word out about safety. We can be safe ourselves. We can do everything in our human power to be safe and to keep those around us safe. Does that mean that those around us are going to stay safe? They make decisions we can't control. But we can educate them to where they understand where they are unsafe around us. They can understand we can't stop on a dime, how a commercial motor vehicle operates. And the general public doesn't usually get to hear a lot of that because it's not in anything in training, which we all three have advocated so hard about safety, not just amongst what's going on in the trucks themselves and driver training and driver education and driver information, but from 15-year-olds to 90-year-olds. There's a big space, there's a big gap, and there's a lot that needs to be changed. And all three of us have very loud voices, and they know all three of our names in Washington, D.C. that, you know what, I'm not going to shut up. I'll never shut up. And that's I will go down in my life hoping that I have at least had one person listen to me and understood. And at one point in their day, their life was saved because they remembered something that they learned from one of the three of us. So safety is really big in my life. And I know it is into Gina's and Kelly Lynn's lives. And that's what impressed me the most about being up there with the finalists, was the fact that I know how strong these two ladies are in safety. I'm going to put anybody up against these two ladies all day long. If anybody can point somebody else that has more grit and has walked more miles, whether it be the streets of DC or whether it be the streets that run across this country, that these two ladies advocate for safety, you aren't going to find any two that are any finer than these two.
Thanks, Ingrid.
Thank you for
Oh my gosh.
For those.
She brings tears, just emotions, and just heartwarming, Ingrid is, and Kelly Lynn. You learn so much from them. So please listen to these ladies. Listen to what we have to say and others out there. Yeah. So safety, should I go?
Yeah, I was just like, go on ahead, Miss Gina, go ahead. Tell us all about your safety.
So, safety is the utmost important from when you get in that driver's seat. You start your day till you end your day. Just the people are around you out on the road. Safety means doing your part to ensure that everyone is safe, including ourselves around us. From getting to your destination to the end of the day. Our CEO with Warner Enterprises always says that nothing we do is worth hurting ourselves or others. I think that applies to all decisions made in our industry. So, can't hold back on safety if kind of we see so much distraction out there around us, and it's so fear, we're fear for our life sometimes. I don't understand even as well the public, motor public, when they're out on the road, do they think that we're just out there for just a joyride? No, we're working. We're getting to A to B and want to get safely there and back and home to our families. So being able to teach us and have a voice is so important every day that we're out on the road, no matter what. Even in our vehicles, we have to be careful when we're not even working out on the roads, but just daily going to the store or something, it all applies to our daily lives.
Raise your hand if you also drive your personal vehicle like the 18-wheeler. That's right.
I have a 53-foot trailer behind my Denali. Sorry, y'all.
But it's so ingrained in our brain. I'm like, and I'm the one that'll stop at the stop sign in the middle of an empty parking lot too, because it says stop. My brain says stop. Like that's just what we do, right? Tell me I'm
Or making or making those wide turns when you're in your vehicle and you're like, what the heck are we doing?
How many times?
Sorry.
Yeah, or how many times do you pass somebody on the interstate, and when you start to get back over to the right lane, you're like 3 or 4 truck lengths from them, and you're like, I'm not but this big, but here I am.
Yeah. Or
Also, when you drive in the double lane, you're on the outside lane.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Hey, Fabiola.
Hello.
Fabiola, welcome to the call. I'm going to ask you a couple of questions first. So we're going to hit pause on the other 3 ladies for just a moment. We're talking about safety right now, but one thing that I really want to give you an opportunity to do is, first of all, tell us your full name and who you drive for. And then if you would, tell us what the honor of being nominated for Driver of the Year finalist means to you.
All right. So my name is Fabiola Campos, and I drive for FedEx Freight. So I've been here for 22 years. So do you want like a little history about me or what? Or just the questions?
We'll just stick to the questions. If we've got some time at the end, yeah, we'll definitely tell a little bit more about history. But I want to make sure we get who you are and what this recognition of being Driver of the Year finalist, what does that mean to you professionally and personally?
Well, professionally, everything. I mean, it's a big honor. As I think I met y'all. My height. A lot of them think that it's like, wait, you're a woman and you're like almost. We're gonna say 4 feet, but I'm gonna say 5 because my driver license says 5. So we're gonna go with driver license. So it's just an honor being out there and being being with the woman trucking. It was a pleasure being there, and just by being there, I consider I was already we're all the winners. We're all there, and so everything we done, and then personally. Also I have kids, they're also truck drivers. So, I encourage them too. And they see me as an inspiration, like they see like, oh, okay, see, women can do it as well. So, it's an honor being in the finalist, stuff like that. So
I love that. Thank you so much for sharing that. Do you have any best practices that have helped help you maintain your strong safety record throughout your career?
Yes. You said the best what? I'm sorry.
Best practices or behaviors behind the wheel that have helped you to maintain that strong safety?
A routine is a routine. Have a routine. It's never change your routine. Somebody could tell you do a different way of doing it. I do it this way. I do it that way. But the most safety for you to prevent anything is make sure you pay attention and all that. And very important, stay with your routine. Do not change your routine and so on. But that's one of the biggest thing for me, that I have a routine and I follow that routine. If somebody stops, then I go back and do my routine like I always do. So
that's really good. Thank you so much for sharing that. Okay, so we're caught up with Fabiola. Welcome to the show. Let's move into leadership and impact. So this award recognizes leadership and service to the industry. So in what ways do you try to support or influence other drivers, whether that's through mentoring, professionalism, or advocacy? So let's go ahead and start with Gina this time.
So I think leadership is really important. I've learned a lot from leadership as I came on board in the industry. I team drive with my husband, and he's taught me. He was my trainer, so I learned from him. So as you learn from other people, you try to get your own way of doing things when you're comfortable in the driver's seat. So that became, as years gone on, being on Warner's road team, I could mentor, I could help other drivers. We have the logo of Drivers Helping Drivers. And then becoming a mentor to others, as I did with women in trucking as well. And also learning on being on the America's road team with the ATA. You learn to teach the public on how to be safe around large vehicles on the highways. So there's so many ways of getting it out there and being in the leadership and learning from leadership. I mean, like I have from these women that have so many years in the trucking industry, and training, bringing in new drivers so they can learn the way that maybe we have, or even better. They'll even be a stronger voice that we are as well.
So I want to make sure that each of us get an opportunity to hit on this specifically. When it comes to professionalism behind the wheel, what does that look like to you?
Well, we are the next lead for the next generation, showing what we do, that we're safe drivers, that we respect the road, people on the road, and we want them to learn to do the same thing. There's a lot of truck drivers out there of all kinds, and I love it when you represent your company and you look good for your company. So that's what I like to carry on for in the trucking industry. And like I said, bring more drivers to do the same.
Sure. Okay, Fabiola, we're going to move to you. So again, this award recognizes leadership and impact. So in what ways do you try to support or influence other drivers? Again, through mentoring, professionalism, or advocacy?
Oh.
You're on mute, baby.
So sorry. So as a road team, I'm also on the road team captain. I'm also a DDI instructor. So leadership, it's really involved. You want to get them involved. You want to make sure that they're involved of what we're teaching, what we're showing them. And so I think that as an instructor, as well as a DDI instructor and the road team captain, you feel like you're also in charge. Like you have to, because you have to give guidance and you have to kind of show them, like Ms. Ginn said, show them the right way and show them the responsible. This is a responsible career that you have to go through the driving. So I think that it's just giving the support and all that. If we get it from everybody. So.
And then professionalism. What does that look like to you behind the wheel for you specifically when you're out delivering?
As a professional, you, like Ms. B said, you're carrying the uniform. I work with FedEx Freight, so as you have to represent the company, so obviously we have to be professional, and you have to be polite, and you have to, also demonstrate what you're representing the company as well. So
sure, awesome, thank you so much, Ingrid. Let's move to you. How are you influencing other drivers, either through mentoring, professionalism, or advocacy?
Oh, no, I'm just kidding. The first thing about that is you have to think about yourself. And I know that sounds probably selfish, but if you aren't who you truly are, you can't mentor, you can't reach out, you can't give anyone any advice or anything else. And when I say that is that your professionalism comes out in the way that you carry yourself, in your ethics, in your morals, the way that your relationships are, whether they be business, whether they be network, whether they be customer shippers, receivers, whether it's, co-workers, whether it's, your C-suites. It doesn't matter. You don't change yourself to fit each one of these things. You find yourself so that you know that you're stable and that you can bring that professionalism to whomever it is, whether it be friendships, whether it be whatever. Your ethics and morals are something that if you don't live by those, people will never, ever listen or follow you.
And you've been a mentor as well, right?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. The biggest thing is lead by example. You can't ask someone to do something and not do it yourself or believe in it yourself first. If you decide to change in the middle of the stream, I hate to tell you, but you're going to be the last one that's down the end of the stream. It just doesn't work that way. So to me, you have to make sure that you yourself are stable in your ethics, your morals, and then pass that through your professionalism of how do you want people to respond, not to what you say, but to respond to situations. How do you want a shipper to treat you? How do you want another driver to treat you? How do you want your company to treat you? Those are the things people are going to treat you by the way that you treat them. As far as being professional on the road, to me, that big word is patience. We have to drive for other people, not just ourselves. We drive for everybody else around us, whether they want to be a pain or whether they are giving and have grace for us. We have to have patience, and we lose patience with each other. We lose patience with drivers. We lose patience on the ground out of the truck, whether it's a fuel stop or wherever. And the number one key is patience. Is that hard to do? Yeah, because there's long days, longer nights, time by ourselves. It all adds up. So I think finding your grounded level that works for you to where you can take all of this and put it together. Of the patience, making sure that you treat others like you want to be treated. Kindness is free. It's not hard to do. And that means that you can be driving down the road and somebody looks like they're going to cut you off. And instead of, having that temper tantrum and saying, you're not getting in here between me and that car or me and that truck, take a breath, back off, because safety, number one. Two, peace of mind. A peace of mind of not getting all worked up about it. So I don't know if that answers your question or not.
Nope, well said. So Ms. Kelly Lynn, tell us a little bit about how you have been able to give back to others, influencing them through mentoring, professionalism, or advocacy.
I think I've done all of that. And early on in my relationship with Women in Trucking Association, I was the driver ambassador. And while I was driver ambassador, Ellen Voya hooked me up with a leadership coach. And we had multiple conversations. He had me do exercises and all this jazz. But there was one thing that just stuck in my head. And he's like, Kelly, where are you going? If you don't know where you're going, nobody's going to follow. And I was like, oh, that's brilliant. Why didn't I figure that out? And so at that point, I hate setting 5-year goals. I hate setting 10-year goals. I am very flexible and easygoing for the most part. And I had to force myself to set some goals. And it was a painful process, but I did. And I reached my 5-year goal in 3. And I guess I underestimated how long it would take me to get to my 5-year goal, but it included having conversations with people that make the decisions that affect me. It included investing in myself. It has always included supporting other organizations that support the women coming into the industry. Like I have always supported our foundation financially, and I just set aside a percentage of my salary every year to go to the scholarships for women to become CDL or safety or diesel technicians. And I think that's really important. And I also set aside time and money for Next Gen Trucking, which is another association that helps support young people to learn more about this industry and get the skills that they need to survive. And if any of y'all have been listening to what's happening in our country, the skilled trades are growing, and AI is replacing a lot of the unskilled trades. And, well, you wouldn't even call them trades, right? But I think that we are at a place in time where supporting our young people so that they can have a viable career and opening their minds to trades and the opportunities that are here is really important. And I'm also involved in my company's employee resource groups. And that's a great place to get connected with other women in the industry and find spark and find a sisterhood and a great place to find some support for, like if you have questions or you're struggling or you're just unsure or whatever. So those are a lot of where I spend a lot of my space. And I think it's made a difference when I have conversations with decision makers on different committees or agencies, organizations, leadership. So
I love that. Awesome. Okay, so moving into encouraging more women into trucking. So Kelly Lynn, we'll just let you continue to expand on what you were just talking about with all of the organizations that you give into, though.
Right.
From your experience,
right.
What can we do to attract and support more women behind the wheel, even through those organizations that you are supporting? What are your thoughts on what we can do a little more in that area?
One is I think we should encourage women to look at trades. But there are two topics that I spend a lot of time talking about over the last 10 years. And I'm disappointed I'm still talking about these things. But one of them is the onboarding training environment for new drivers coming into the industry that have to go to carriers. And many people coming into the industry don't know to ask what is the onboarding training like. And I strongly believe that training trucks need to stop at night, and that we should not have subordinates and leadership sharing a sleeping space together, whether that be a hotel room or a tractor cab, and that we need to prioritize the training environment and make sure that across the board all carriers are respecting and that safety environment and really prioritizing the training environment. And the other thing, I really think that we need to pay drivers for all their time and get away from the mileage rate. And if we pay drivers for their hourly time, that we'll be able to offer more protections for our workforce, and we'll be able to entice people to actually join the industry and see it as a viable place that they can develop a career. So that's me.
That's okay. Kind of on top of that, and I'll have each of you kind of speak to this because maybe you have experience in this realm. But when younger women are looking to come into the industry and they have smaller children at home, do you have any thoughts about how we can support them or even help them find the place? Because everyone has a space in the industry. So do you have thoughts on how to kind of manage that with a new someone new coming into the industry?
Right. Well, when people who talk to me about coming into the industry and they're clearly in their childbirth years, I encourage them to think outside of the box and don't necessarily think that you got to get on the road and drive for weeks at a time in order to be a truck driver. There are lots of commercial vehicle positions that are local, and that's a great place to start. And you can still make a great living even locally. And you can look at construction, you can look at waste management, you can look at Home Depot, home delivery. There's so many options. And that's what I encourage people to still do this. If CDL training facilities offer daycare, or there were more scholarships for money for people to be able to afford daycare while they're going through their CDL program, that would make a huge difference. Because basically, as all of y'all know, you have to quit your job and go to work learning to be a driver. So you're out of work for 4 to 6 to 8 weeks before you ever get a job. And not very many people have 2 months worth of income saved up in order to be able to change professions.
Sure, especially single moms. And I think that one of the barriers that I hear a lot when I'm working with young women coming in is just the time that it takes, like having to have so many months behind the wheel before somebody will hire you. Like there's a huge apprentice
Yeah.
period that we just don't have enough companies willing to have that apprentice period, I think. But
That's true.
okay, so moving on, Fabiola, back to you from your experience. How do you feel we could attract and support more women behind the wheel?
Well, like Ms. Kelly said, yes, the daycare. So there's a lot of companies out there that like that they have that support. For example, our company, they have the FedEx Freight. They have the DDC program where we train you from, you don't know nothing. We train you from the bottom, and we take you, and you're getting paid. Technically, you're getting paid to get your CDL. You don't have to pay. And once you're out from the program, then you come out from the program, and it's like you get to work a different shift. So with me encouraging the women is like there's no wall. You could find different sources. Like you don't have to go out and be out for months, like Ms. Kay said. You don't have to do that. It's different ways of doing it. It's just you wanting. So me as an instructor, like I said, I always encourage them. Like at one time I had my kids small, and I still did it, and it could be done. So yeah, there's a lot of ways that you could become a truck driver with, even if you're single parent or with kids and all that. So
yeah, I think it's an educational piece, right? Because there's a common misconception that truck drivers are all over the road. And
yes, and that's what it is. And so I tell them, like, I'm one of them that I've been there in that situation. And so, and look at me now, it's 22 years. So, and I have kids, I had kids and all that. So, yeah, there's a lot of encouragement out there, and, you could be a truck driver if you need to.
I love it. Gina, do you have any thoughts on how we could attract more women to the industry and support them while they can?
Just by educating yourself on maybe calling CDL schools and talking to them. Go take a tour. Even carriers. You can get a hold of recruiters, and any questions that you have, they will answer for you. They'll help you along your journey on what would be good for you, suitable for you. Different companies, from maybe some aren't, home daily, or they're not, city drivers, but just call different companies and ask questions. You'll find something that suits for you, because the diversity out there's so many different jobs that you can do, not have to be over the road 48 state. You can be out a week and be home a couple days, or local, like I said. But it would be nice if carriers more advertised for women out there. Hey, this is a job for you. We have this for you. We have women leaders that will train you one-on-one, if you're more comfortable with a woman than a man. So I think just educating yourself, getting out there, getting to know what you want first, so you can explain to the school, the carriers, what they can do for you, and they'll help. There's recruiters out there that are there for that.
Yeah, that's great feedback. I never would have thought about calling around. So thank you for that.
Not only for that, it helps with what they're looking for, insurance and 401ks and anything like that. So if they're calling carriers and finding out what their history is for, your life insurance, whatever, that will be helpful as well for what the driver is going to need while they're out on the road.
Sure. Great point. Yes. Thank you so much. Ingrid, so what do you think would attract more women into the industry and help support them behind the wheel?
It kind of goes through the whole generation thing. And I'll start with our 18-year-olds. We hear people complain that 18-year-olds don't need to be driving a truck yet. And so we do have a law, of course, they can't leave their state. Well, I mean, if you live in Texas, you can drive a lot and spend lots of miles because the size of the state. But if you go to Delaware, you're really screwed because you're not going very far. But the thing is what people don't realize is these 18-year-olds, not everybody wants to go to college. Not everybody can afford college, especially in today's economy. Mm-hmm. And in doing so, Now they're trying to figure out, where's my space? Where is my place? What can I do? We see more coming out on and wanting to get out on their own more at 18 than, back in my generation type thing. And I think the big thing of that is that we start implementing, and I say every single person in this industry needs to start looking at where the next generation is going to come from. And that starts with the 18-year-olds and climbs. Those 18-year-olds, they can get the best experience by going to Walmart and shagging trailers. By the time they get done shagging trailers till they're 21, they'll be the best drivers you'll ever have, going 48 states to California, or they decide to run dynamite like I did to Alaska in the wintertime. Everybody wants to keep them close. Well, there you go. You can keep them close. At the same time, we completely forget that middle age. We forget that people are losing their jobs every day. Mm-hmm. We forget that when they lose that job and they were counting on that money and they get told that morning that they no longer have a job, where are they going to go? Getting in the industry is a quick pace avenue. To get started into, Kelly Lynn said, now you're going to end up and you're going to have that time that you're not going to have while you're in training. I have noticed a few that do pay for a little bit of training, kind of like Fabiola was talking about, while you're going into it. But the thing is you look at the mothers we were speaking of that now they lost their jobs. What are they going to do? That local stuff, that construction work, that, like you were saying, waste management, the delivery services. These are the things that people can step out of. You look at widows, you look at women that, Kelly Lynn and I, you probably remember here a couple years ago, we had a 60-year-old lady come to us and say, hey, my husband passed away and I have no idea what to do to support myself.
I had another lady just ask me last week.
Yes, I'm not old enough to draw retirement. And what am I going to do? And where's she at? She's still driving a truck today. Talked to her a couple of months ago. You look at empty nesters. The kids move out. You're sitting there and you're all staring at the same walls. And you really are tired of staring at the same walls. The other time that was taking time was fighting with the kids. So now you got to, either fight with each other or go and figure out that this is a good time that we can spend time. So there are so many stages in this, from 18 to there's no range. You can start driving a truck. I don't care if you're male or female at 65 years old if you want to. You can start driving a truck when you're 18 if you want to. Here's the problem. There's not enough communication that has gotten out to women that are walking out the door to go 5 miles to a warehouse, that works in a warehouse, to understand she has an option of becoming part of the trucking and transportation industry. If we don't get that information out, we're going to lose a lot more. Plus, we also are going to be where we're not going to see the numbers of women being able to be part of this industry grow if we don't have a way to get this out. And this is something I've been advocating for. And, the first thing I said was, when I sat down in DC in February, was, how do we get this information out? We are failing women, and this is not where we need to be. So there's my soapbox.
Okay, well, love it. All right, we have just a few minutes left, so I'm going to give each of you about 60 seconds. And in a real quick sentence, what I want you to do is give us one piece of advice that you would give to women who are considering becoming a professional driver today. So, Fabiola, let's start with you. What would that one quick piece of advice be to women coming into the industry today?
The one piece of advice would be listen. Listen to what your instructor tells you and never give up. That would be one piece of advice.
That's great advice. Gina, what would your advice be?
It would be take charge of your training and ask questions. If you think it's unsafe to drive, I guess it is. If it's like with weather or equipment, you are right. So you're the captain of your ship. You need to listen to yourself, and that's makes you you learning along the way every day by listening to yourself in your own mind.
Yeah, intuition is huge, I think, in this industry. I don't think we tap into it enough sometimes. Yeah. Kelly Lynn, what would be your best piece of advice?
I would say invest in yourself and your professional development, and don't wait for your employer or anybody else to offer you opportunities. Go get them.
Yeah, I love that. Miss Ingrid, what would your piece of advice be?
Be true to yourself.
Mm-hmm.
If you feel like that you want to do something new in your life, go do it. And one of those things is there's not anything you can't do. None of us that are sitting here, there's nobody that can't do what we've all accomplished so far in our lives. Take our faces off a finalist and a winner and put every single woman's face on ours that wants to drive a truck, drives a truck, or has driven a truck. Because every single one of us every woman out here deserves that same exact recognition that we have gotten. So be true to yourself. Take that grace for yourself. And at the same time, go get what you want, because the sky's the limit.
And I think Ingrid is so true with that. Even like when I started at the age of 50, I'm telling you, I was scared to death starting a new career. You know, when you start a career later in life, you feel like you're already aging and, you know, learning new technology and things like that. I mean, it's not easy at first, but hey, you know what? The challenge is great. Go after it. And I have. So it's never too late.
Yeah. I am not a finalist, but when people ask me this question, I always say get a mentor. Would you guys agree that having a mentor in this industry is huge?
Yes.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm just saying that's where a lot of my inspiration has come from. And you women have definitely given me something to aspire to time after time. Watching your stories and watching you grow has been a real honor for me. In the women in trucking space, as well as other women coming into the industry. So we are just a few minutes early to get done. Thank you so much for your time. All of the finalists, Kelly Lynn, Fabiola, and Gina, and then 2026 Driver of the Year, Miss Ingrid. Congratulations again. And thank you guys so much for being here. And I hope that you have a wonderful week and keep doing what you do out there and keep giving us inspiration on the other side of the wheel. So thank you so much, ladies.
Congratulations, ladies. Love y'all.
Bye. Love you all.
Thanks, Jerry.
Bye.
Bye. Keep in touch. Keep in touch.
Yes.